Welcome, everybody. It's Wyman and Bob. This is Seattle Sports on 710 as we continue live from Peoria, Arizona, Mariner Spring Training Complex. And as we've been doing all week, starting our show off with a bang. And, Dave, I think we're always going to have a soft spot in our heart for this guy because I believe we were the first guys he spoke to when he got called up. It was Logan Gilbert. It was Jared Kelnick. And it was this guy. It was the youth movement. He was the true youth of these three, and that would be the one, the only Paul Sewald here with us. How are you, man?
Great to see you guys again.
I think we were the first guys you spoke to, and you made a joke about, they just wanted to get young, so they brought me up with these guys.
There was all that hype, Jared, Logan, their debut, everything, and wasn't my first rodeo, and I was just excited to get called up in general, and didn't know what was gonna transpire, but it's been pretty good for me so far.
Well, and you've become one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. I mean, just in terms of what you do and how often you do it and effectively you do it. How big is that? I mean, I don't know what your expectations were when you got called up. I know you were with the Mets and you had good times, bad times. But this is a different level you've been at since you've been here.
Yeah, more than exceeded my expectations. My expectations were to get called up for a game, and if it didn't go well, get DFA'd kind of thing. It was just, that was just a realistic point of view of what it was, and I had run my time in the National League with the Mets, and they didn't think that I was ready to pitch in the big leagues anymore, and I needed to make major adjustments, and luckily I made them here in Seattle, and it's worked out really well since then.
How was your off season, Paul?
It was good. It was good. It was a little limited. I had the elbow surgery and the heel surgery, so I didn't do a ton. I got a late start on everything, but I feel healthy. I feel great. I feel healthy. I feel ready to go. Everything feels good coming into spring training, but a little less adventuring, a little more dad time at home.
Okay. Were you pitching through pain last year in both those scenarios?
The elbow thing was kind of – the heels don't bother me when I pitch at all. That's a running, walking, down the stairs type of thing, so that doesn't bother me when I pitch. The elbow thing would come and go, and that's why it was very frustrating to kind of, wake up one morning and when it bothered me and, be practically numb from the elbow down, and then, I'd go 2.5 months and wouldn't feel it. So there were days where I couldn't pitch where maybe the fans were like, well, why isn't Paul pitching? That was just probably one of those days where, I pushed off the bed to go to the bathroom wrong, and that was it. So it wasn't something that really bothered me. It was something that I knew that I could take during the offseason to make sure I didn't miss any time. And the Mariners staff was great about making sure they got everything dialed in, and went to see Dr. Meister and got it all fixed, and we're ready to go. No problems at all.
I think people don't realize that makes it tougher, right? I mean, you're not only working on your game and your pitching and all that, but then you got to rehab something. I mean, it makes it like you put a lot more work in, right?
Yeah.
See my present?
Ty France left him a present.
Ty, you leave that San Diego State jersey on my locker again, it's going to end up in the garbage where it belongs.
Ty looks very satisfied with himself right now. He looks very satisfied.
So I get in today, and I go to my locker, and I have some garbage sitting on my chair. It's a San Diego State basketball jersey. It is Ty's jersey, so they got it customized for him. But I will never have anything State in my locker. That is garbage, pure garbage.
He seemed very happy, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was so excited to come over here for that. That was awful. That was awful. Yes, back to actual baseball stuff. Yeah, it's tough. You're trying to make sure that you're rehabbing, but at the same time trying to prepare for spring training. Luckily, I did them the first week I got done with the season. We flew home and instead of gathering ourselves in the playoffs, flew to Texas and got a surgery, and then flew to Seattle and got surgery and knocked them out. But then, gave me that timeline that I could come into spring training totally ready. And we didn't have this issue where maybe I come in and I'm not ready and then I have to rush into the season. That's how you end up injuring yourself in April or May and missing, an entire season. So just one of those things. It's easy to sacrifice an off season, make sure that I'm ready.
Yeah. How far apart were the surgeries?
Just a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So flew to Texas, got the elbow surgery, flew back. A few days later, flew up to Seattle, got that surgery, and then we got back on the rehab process.
So the guy you liked for your heel, your Achilles, was in Texas.
No, the elbow. Dr. Meister's based out of
sorry.
Texas, and then Dr. Pelto is our team doctor here with Seattle. And then I came up there to see him for the heels.
Gotcha.
Hey, just talking about your success you've had here, obviously it's great, but with that comes all that expectation. And when you don't perform, fans turn on you because now they expect you got to be great every single time.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with that? You and I talked at one point last season about the jackals on Twitter and the stuff they say and all that. Is that something you've kind of come to deal with or expect at this point? If you don't have a brilliant day, they're going to tell you how terrible you are?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. But that's one of the things that I've really worked on with our mental skills coaches here, that I'm going to try and be a little bit better at not really worrying about what other people have to say. It's very funny. This is perfect timing for it. I was watching the WGC match play yesterday, and they're talking about Scotty Scheffler, the number one golfer in the world, and he said, "What anybody else thinks of me is none of my business." And I thought, wow, what a great thing for me to hear in a perfect time where I'm trying to work on this. If it's good enough for the number one golfer in the world, it probably should be good enough for me. So whatever anybody on Twitter thinks is none of my business this year.
That's very well said. Man, that's
he's the number one golfer in the world. He's got his head on his shoulders, and I just thought, what a perfect time for me to hear that.
Right. Hey, lots of guys coming in with new pitches. It seems like more than any other spring that I remember, anyway. But what about you? Are you done with that? Are you just perfecting what you have?
Yeah.
Or?
So this is the spring training question, and I heard Lance Lynn said it perfectly. I heard him on the radio. He said everyone comes to spring training with a new pitch, and they ditch it 2 weeks into the season. So I thought, well, that's great. That's exactly what I'm doing. I have no new pitches. I'm coming in with the same stuff I've had the last 2 years. When I throw the ball at the fastball at the top of the zone and sweep the slider, I'm very successful. When I don't do those things, I fall in line just like everybody else does when they struggle. I don't need to come up with a new pitch. I just need to get better at doing what I do really well more consistently. That's what I've come to realize, is that I don't need a splitter, a change, I just need to be really good at the things that I do really well.
Yeah.